Welcome to Liquid Motion. My name is Guy Chaumet. People keep asking me the same question. What is the best underwater camera? And the best answer is, it depends what you want to do with it. Are you interested in underwater photography or filming? Do you think of yourself as a casual user, maybe a passionate hobbyist or a professional? Do you want to obtain your first underwater kit or upgrade the underwater equipment you already have? Today, I am going to help you navigate the numerous, highly confusing choices and options so you can make a good, informed decision when buying underwater photo and video gear. Firstly, when looking at buying new underwater equipment, you need to define your budget. Shooting underwater is an expensive occupation. Therefore, getting the wrong equipment can make it even more costly. Secondly, you should look into the lighting. If you are just starting out in underwater videography or photography and therefore have no equipment yet, then you should start by choosing the video lights, or, if you are shooting stills, select a pair of good strobes. If you already have a camera and lighting system, but your results are disappointing, then you may want to make sure your lighting solution is adequate. In short, the lighting is crucial to shooting underwater, and the lighting requirements are the same regardless of the camera you will be using. Therefore, do not choose some small lights or strobe just because you have a small camera. Instead, buy the very best light or strobes you can afford, and they will last you for a very long time. As a result, you will be able to get the best picture out of your camera, and your lighting will be relevant even if later you upgrade your camera and housing. Remember that underwater lighting is expensive. Therefore, it is crucial to pick the right lights or strobes from the beginning. Furthermore, having a minimum of 2 sources of light is also crucial to control your lighting. So for example, a good pair of video light will cost you close to $2,500 with the supporting arms. On the other hand, a good pair of strobes will cost close to $1,600 with supporting arms. In conclusion, put the money on the side, and then what is left is your budget for the camera and the housing. Finally, if you want to know more about underwater video lights, you can have a look at a previous video I made on what to look for in video lights, and you can find a link to it down below. For the strobe, you should look for the following criteria. Firstly is the power. It is expressed in GN, that stands for guide number, and a good underwater strobe will show a guide number of 30 or more. Secondly is the battery capacity. Because you want to do 2 dives with unlimited use of the strobes, you want to have about 200 flash at full power, with 300 being really good. Thirdly is the angle coverage. You want large coverage for wide-angle shooting. 110 degrees without diffuser is considered very good. Moreover, the recycle time for the strobe to fire is important, with 1 second being considered very good, while 3 seconds is bad. Subsequently, size matters, and you want a relatively compact setup, especially if you have a small camera. In addition, the weight is important in these days of airline weight restriction. In the hope that it helps you, I have put a list of underwater photo and video equipment that I recommend down below. And to clarify, in this list there are some affiliate links that give me a small commission if you purchase equipment from these links, at no extra cost to you. This is in the hope of supporting the channel so I can make more great content for you. With the lights and strobe out of the way, you can now think about how to choose the right type of camera for your needs. How do you begin? Well, first ask yourself, what is it that I want to achieve? In other words, do you want to use a camera only for underwater work, but maybe you want to use a camera topside as well? Do you want to do photography or do you want to do filmmaking? Do you want to vlog or perhaps to make some YouTube video? Maybe you are aiming for the commercial or broadcast market. Ultimately, your goal will help you determine what type of camera that will suit you best. I have made 5 different sections to the cameras. First come the action cameras, like the notorious GoPros. The key point of action camera is that they are fully automatic and have a fixed wide-angle lens. In other words, the only control you have is where you point it. Equally important is that the action cameras are cheap and they have been designed to be taken where other cameras would be too big or too heavy, too impractical or too expensive. In conclusion, the action camera is excellent for achieving what it has been designed for, and it can also be used underwater with relative success. Furthermore, let's keep in mind that they perform way better for video than for stills. In conclusion, if you want to document your diving activity, the action camera can be what you are looking for. On the other hand, if you wish to unleash your creativity, you may want to look into cameras that allow for manual setting so you can control the image better. Secondly comes the point-and-shoot cameras. To begin with, the point-and-shoot are a bit more sophisticated than the action camera, and some of them allow for more serious work. Most importantly, you can manually change most of the setting from iris to shutter speed, color balance, ISO or gain, and sometimes even focus. Adding to this, you also have a zoom and most have access to macro. Because of this, the point-and-shoot cameras make nice footage underwater. In essence, the point-and-shoot camera is considered by many as the entry-level camera, also they can be a lot more than that. Point-and-shoot camera like the Lumix 10 start at around $500 and have some great reviews. To be noted, some of the point-and-shoot camera like the Olympus TG6 are even waterproof to shallow depth, making them the perfect camera for snorkelers. To summarize, if money, size and weight are leading factor in your quest for a camera, coupled with your need to retain some possibilities for creativity, the point-and-shoot can be an attractive solution. Check the links below for my recommendations. And remember to make absolutely sure that you have a great lighting solution to get the best images out of your point-and-shoot. Third choice are the mirrorless cameras and the DSLRs. First, let's take a look at mirrorless cameras. If you are very serious about your photography or filmmaking, the mirrorless cameras offer professional level cameras that are light and small, and the price range is attractive. At the present time, depending on the model, their sensor goes from micro four thirds all the way to full-frame sensor. With this in mind, remember that smaller sensor means that cheaper and lighter lenses are available. Next, let's look at the DSLRs. Bigger, heavier, and more expensive than the mirrorless, the DSLRs used to occupy the top market simply because of the full-frame option. Although this used to be true, it is no longer a great argument as you can now get a full-frame sensor on a mirrorless. With this in mind, using a DSLR underwater is often a good option for people who already have their camera and lenses. On the other hand, if you are starting from scratch, it is a lot of money to put in a system which ultimately is not really adequate for underwater filming. That is to say, both mirrorless and DSLRs are poor options for filming underwater, simply because their design is originally made for still photography. In other words, to make great underwater video, these cameras have the following shortcomings. First, you need an external monitor, so you have a comfortable position while shooting. Having to look at the onboard camera monitor or the viewfinder means you need to be behind the camera with your head level with the monitor. This is far from ideal in many situations. In addition, the camera monitor is often too small to pull focus properly underwater. Adding an external monitor to this housing makes the setup top-heavy, which in turn creates stability issues when shooting video underwater. Secondly, it is important to realize that the lens you use for photography are often not good for film work because of their iris. The point often overlooked is that the iris is moving in increment, often a third of a stop at a time, and this is fine when shooting stills. However, when shooting video, it is often required to adjust the aperture while filming. Having a clicked iris makes the incremental change in aperture visible on film, almost looking like flickering. In spite of this, if you want to use mirrorless or DSLR for filming, I would strongly recommend you get a Cine lens, because these lenses have a declicked iris, so you can pull the iris while filming to get this smooth buttery exposure adjustment. However, please check with the housing manufacturer for lens compatibility before committing to any system. And finally, mirrorless and DSLRs don't have an internal ND filter, which is a very important feature for making cinematic footage, and ultimately the biggest issue I have with mirrorless and DSLRs for shooting underwater video. In conclusion, if your main interest is underwater photography, mirrorless and DSLRs are a great option. Consequently, if you start from scratch, looking at the mirrorless will save you some money over the DSLRs without compromising on quality and creativity. However, if your interest is filmmaking, you may want to look at cameras that are designed for video. Ultimately, if your interest goes from underwater video to photography, either mirrorless or DSLR can be a good compromise. Next in line are the video cameras. This section is for the videographers. The video camera section can be split into two subsections: the consumer cameras, often called camcorders, and the pro cameras. First, let's look into the camcorders. For the most part, these cameras are dedicated to videography. The form factor is made for taking video. Above all, they are ready to shoot right out of the box. The key point is having a declicked iris. Furthermore, they usually offer some onboard ND filters. They are small in size, low in weight, and offer attractive pricing. However, they are usually not really designed to be used in manual mode, and often the manual controls are not very good or user-friendly simply because a lot of them rely on touchscreens to adjust manual settings. This is not a good option when using a housing. It is also to be noted that they don't really make good stills. Above all, the issue are often the housing form factor, which is often far from ideal because of the need to use a touchscreen. It leads to weird contraption of push button and articulated arms on the housing to enable touching the screen in various places to change settings. Secondly, let's look at the professional video cameras. Often referred to ENG style cameras, ENG stands for Electronic News Gathering. This camera usually comes complete with all bells and whistles. That is to say, they are equipped with great zoom lens, monitor, viewfinder, XLR input for pro audio equipment. Most importantly, all the key settings are accessible by dedicated buttons and switches, including sound control, and they have onboard ND filter. This is a major point if shooting underwater and is a must for the type of work that I do. These are the type of cameras that I have used successfully for many years. However, their sensor is often Super 35 size, basically APS-C size, which can feel a little small compared to full-frame sensor. Most importantly, the ergonomics are great and their larger size allow for heat dissipation. The battery bay is open, allowing for larger battery size to be fitted, and they don't have a limit on clip size like most of the mirrorless and DSLRs. Subsequently, because of their shape, their housing are very stable underwater, making a striking improvement over the top-heavy, unstable mirrorless or DSLR housing. Finally comes the Cine cameras. They are big, heavy, expensive cameras, and their housing are also oversized and also very expensive. Their weight is also to be taken into account. The whole package is basically oversized. But they deliver incredible quality and resolution. In other words, this is what is needed for big productions to match the topside equipment used in motion pictures and advertisement. It is to be noted that if you have the budget and want to film with a Cine camera as a single operator, there are some smaller Cine cameras that are easier to handle on your own. Some Cinecam like the Canon C200 come in a smaller package that is good for a single operator, yet can take a Cine lens and deliver outstanding picture quality. Furthermore, there are also solutions for the BMPCC 4 and 6K from Blackmagic that offer excellent Cine camera with attractive pricing and with a size closer to a DSLR. In conclusion, the Cine cameras are the top quality for underwater video, but a tad overpriced. The Pro cameras are the best for video with semi-limited budget. Mirrorless and DSLRs are the best for photography and can make decent videos. Point and shoot offer video and photo in an affordable and small package and can produce great images. And finally, action cameras are for casual use or use as a complement to a more sophisticated camera. Now you know the different styles of camera, so how do you choose the styles that best suits your objective and your wallet? First of all, is it your hobby or will it be your career? What is the size and weight target? The weight allocation given by airline is often a deciding factor because most of the people will have to travel with the gears to get to diving destination. Next, what type of diving will you be doing? If you dive from a liveaboard, you can get people to help you to get the gears on side. If diving solo from the shore, you have to make your entry and exit on your own while having a full scuba kit and bailout tank and carrying the filming gear, including lights. Are you strong enough to do this safely? So, you have your eyes on a specific type of camera, and now you need to pick the specific model. What to look for in a camera for an underwater kit? I would first look for easy, dedicated manual controls. So the primary control, which are iris, shutter, ISO and gain, white balance, focus and frame rate for video, have a non-body control versus having to scroll through a menu. Internal ND filters are a big plus feature if you are filming. Actually, they are so important to me that they are a deciding factor when choosing a camera for underwater use. Look for large batteries that allow for a minimum of 2 hours plus of shooting time, so you don't have to open the housing on the boat in between dives. Look for HDMI or SDI out to connect the external monitor or SDI to send a feed to the surface if shooting for a big production. For filming, try to get a declicked iris for smooth exposure control. Before you buy the chosen camera and lens, you need to check on the underwater housing option. So what to look for when choosing an underwater housing? First, you want to have all the manual controls on the housing. You want a dedicated manual white balance, like a one push of a button. For video work, look for neutral density filter access, which means that the camera has internal ND filter. You want an external monitor connection and probably want a vacuum system. That said, keep in mind I have been shooting for well over 20 years without a vacuum system and I never flooded any camera, but it is great to have it for peace of mind. For filming, a flip-on internal filter holder and diopter holder is a must. Similarly, lots of anchoring points on the housing will give you flexibility when customizing your housing. Easy access to memory cards and battery are an important factor, as you may need to open the housing briefly to change cards and battery. If doing this on a boat, you don't want to have to dismantle the whole kit and expose the camera and the inside of the housing too much. Support for the viewfinder is not a deal breaker, but it's great for macro work, especially in shallow tropical water where the ambient light is very high. I would preferably choose lots of options for counterweight placement to trim the housing correctly. Voila! Now you can make an informed decision when buying underwater gears for filming or photography. There is one last step to successfully shooting underwater, and that is a step often overlooked by newcomers. I regularly see people investing thousands of dollars in equipment and then they run the camera in auto and achieve poor results. So, in the budget for underwater filming or photography, you should put some money on the side to get a good, solid course like the one we offer at liquidmotionacademy.com. This will allow you to make a huge jump start and seriously shorten your learning curve. You can take one of these courses at liquidmotionacademy.com. We offer online courses and also courses on location in Cozumel. A word of caution about video or photo course offered by dive shops. Let's take the example of a PADI shop offering underwater photo and video course. For a PADI instructor to give you a photo or video course, all he has to do is send a letter to PADI stating he had made 30 dives with a camera, pay like $30, and get the photo or video instructor rating. So instead of a diving instructor, get an adequate mentor, someone with years of experience in the business, with plenty of awards and credentials, and an ability and passion to teach and mentor you, not only during your course, but also afterwards. Avoid dive shop and retail shops that are more interested in selling course and equipment than helping you to make your dream a reality. Most of the time, you will make their dream a reality. I hope you find this video helpful. If you like the content, please let us know by clicking the thumb up. And if you want to see more, please subscribe to the channel and don't forget to click notification to be informed when the next video gets published. If you want to know more about our online course, check liquidmotionacademy.com. And if you have already subscribed to the channel, thank you for your support, and I will see you in my next video. And cut!